Yesterday, the Beatles released their final song, Now and Then, which was based on a demo that John Lennon had recorded in the 1970s. Now, what's really interesting is to see how Paul, Ringo and the rest of the team adapted and arranged what John had written in his original demo into the final track we now have. John's original demo recording, which they were using as the foundation of the song, was very much a demo. It was incomplete, so they were always going to have to make some arrangement decisions. But interestingly, they've actually cut out an entire section of John's original song. John's demo effectively features just 3 sections of music, and only 2 of them have made it into the final cut, so an entire third of John's original idea is missing from the final song. On top of that, the new version of the song that came out yesterday actually features an entirely new section that never featured in John's original demo version. So today I want to compare both John's demo and the now final version of the track, take a look at what changed and what was kept the same, and also take a look at some of the interesting music theory moments that are happening in this song, like key changes and a time signature change. So right off the bat, there's a small difference between how the new version and demo version of these songs start. The original demo version began with this climb down from the A minor chord towards the E chord, but the new version instead vamps between the first 2 chords of the verse, A minor and G6. Now, one change I found a little bit odd is that they've actually increased the tempo quite significantly of John's original song. In the demo, Now and Then is about 80 BPM. It's all because of you. But the version that came out yesterday, the final version, is 88 BPM, quite a significant increase in tempo. It's all because of you. The increase in tempo has certainly given this song a slightly more upbeat, driving sound, but at the cost of the sort of lamenting, mournful sound of John's original demo. Maybe they just didn't want the song to sound too depressing, so they decided to make it a little bit more upbeat. Now, largely, John Lennon's lyrics and vocals have been kept intact from the original version, but there were a couple of moments in John's demo where he either didn't really seem to have a lyric and just sort of sang some syllables, or you just can't make out what he's singing. One of the most obvious moments is at the end of the second verse, where the lyric sort of just trails off. It's not really clear what he's singing. So what they did on the final version is this is the exact moment that Paul comes in and adds the lyric, "We'll love you," to kind of plug the hole in John's lyric. It's after verse 2 where we get the first significant change between the demo and the new version of the song. In the new version, after verse 2, we then go straight to the chorus section, where we jump from the key A minor to the key G major. Now, this G major chorus section does appear in John's demo, of course. But we don't jump straight to it from the verse. Instead, on John's demo, before we get to the chorus, we have a sort of pre-chorus section. And this section is also in a different key. This section is in E major. So the verse is in A minor, the chorus is in G, and this section that only appears in John's demo is in the key of E major. Now, be aware that this is actually a re-upload of this video. In the original video at this point, I played a clip, an extended clip from John's demo, but that got the video blocked about 10 days after upload. So what you're about to hear is a recreation of John's demo. Please excuse my dodgy singing. I don't want to lose you. Oh no, no, no. Lose you or abuse you. Oh no, 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 sweet darling. But if you have to go away, end of the section here that we now go into the familiar chorus that we know from the final version of the track.
Now and then, I miss you.
Now, to be honest, the structure that we hear in the original demo, moving from verse to this pre-chorus thing and then to the chorus, did feel sort of disjointed. It didn't really flow very well. So I can see why they've decided on the final version of Now and Then to just go straight from verse to chorus. But it is a shame that they've entirely scrapped this section of John's song. I think it would have made a lot of sense for it to be a sort of bridge section, a middle eight later in the song. But no, not only is this section, this E major I Don't Want to Lose You section, completely absent from the final version of the song, but they've even then added a new section to the song as if they needed to pad it out more. This new section, the section that's not in John's demo at all, appears after the second chorus of Now and Then. This section is technically in A minor, but it begins on the chord D minor, and because we've just come from a chorus in G major, the fact that we're now in A minor isn't immediately obvious, so we do get this nice sort of modal ambiguity moment where our ears are trying to suss out exactly what key we're in here. Now, there is something quite clever in this bridge section that they've added, and it's to do with this D major to D minor chord. Of course, D major moving to D minor is a cool change, and that sounds really cool, but the reason they've included it here is so they can make use of backing vocals from a previous Beatles song, from an older Beatles song, Because, from Abbey Road. If you watched my video about the making of Now and Then that came out yesterday, you'll know that in the making of this final version of Now and Then, they used snippets of backing vocals from pre-existing Beatles songs, including Here, There and Everywhere, Eleanor Rigby and Because. Now, I can't really find or hear the Here, There and Everywhere and Eleanor Rigby backing vocals. Maybe they're buried or they're a bit hard to make out, but the Because one is really easy to make out. What they've done is they've taken this moment from Because when the Beatles are singing this beautiful three-part harmony of D major moving to a D minor or D diminished chord. And they've superimposed that over this D major to D minor change in Now and Then. If you listen to them back to back, it's really obvious. So after this new instrumental bridge section that they wrote, we then go to one final verse, which is pretty much the same as the other verses that have occurred so far, but then we do get something new again at the end. We get this interesting moment where we switch from 4/4 time, which we've been in throughout the entire song, to 3/4 time. And this is certainly something that doesn't happen in John's original demo, and I wouldn't be surprised if this moment, this 3/4 change, was actually written by Giles Martin. Giles Martin, son of Beatles producer George Martin, arranged the strings for this song, and at the end here, it is a very much strings-led outro that's happening, so I think he's built in this interesting 3/4 sort of skipping rhythm into the outro. So that's Now and Then, the final ever Beatles song. And although I like it, I do think they played it a little bit safe. They could have included a few more sort of outlandish experimental sounds and ideas. It could have even been nice to hear a few more classic Beatles elements, perhaps some brass, perhaps some mellotron or something like that. Even some sitar, perhaps. But ultimately, I do think it is a really touching tribute to John Lennon and George Harrison, and a nice final chapter in the story of the Beatles. To be honest, it's quite magical really and touching that this song that John wrote has such a poignant lyric now completed over 50 years later. What did you think of Now and Then? Did you like the direction they went in? Do you think they missed an opportunity? Let me know in the comments.